It appears that Joe Biden may have just angered a lot of his potential voters. Now, this was during an interview on Monday with Pittsburgh's KDKA. The presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party said that he would not commit to choosing a woman of color to be his vice presidential running mate, despite, of course, promises to at least pick a woman or a woman of color to be his VP. So this comes after saying that he would enthusiastically choose First Lady Michelle Obama as his running mate, but then said this, quote, "I'll commit to that be a woman because it is very important that my administration look like the public, look like the nation. And there will be committed that there will be a woman of color on the Supreme Court. That doesn't mean there won't be a vice president as well." A little bit of word salady, but okay. I get the general point. Maybe, not a woman of color as VP, but a woman of color on the Supreme Court, maybe. I mean, I can't really commit to that, but also I can't commit to not choosing a woman of color. You know what I'm saying? So this sparked a lot of outrage online, on social media, and from some of the worst people, right? So you have hardcore Biden supporters, and you have women of color. So a lot of them are hoping that Joe Biden would pick somebody like Stacey Abrams or Kamala Harris. Now, those are not two picks that I would be cool with, but it's not about me, right? Look, a lot of these people that generally calling themselves the K Hive, hence the reference, of course, to the nest, hornet's nest, because boy, when you poke that, yeah, not good, not fun to deal with. They're, of course, justifiably angry, right? In fact, the Grio put out a headline last week saying if Biden doesn't pick Stacey Abrams, he can kiss black folks goodbye. And then you also had Representative James Clyburn, who gave him an endorsement that saved his campaign in South Carolina, and Representative John Lewis of Georgia saying that they want Biden specifically to name a woman of color to be his VP. Former Hillary staffers also have gotten on board and saying you should probably pick a woman of color because one of the big problems that we had in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, again, this is according to them. I have my own analysis about this. They say, well, we shouldn't have picked Tim Kaine. Well, I agree with that part. We should have picked a woman of color instead, or just, a woman, right? Somebody that would excite black voters to get them to turn out. Instead, they picked white bread Tim Kaine, which I agree was a terrible choice because literally Driftwood was more exciting than Tim Kaine. And he basically disappeared. He disappeared during that entire campaign. Like, I remember his picture being on a milk carton. Where's Tim Kaine? Where is he? Oh, nobody cares. So now, the biggest backlash, again, came from members of the K-Hive. And I want to read this. And again, this comes from some of the worst people on Twitter. They said, I won't commit my energy to Joe Biden's campaign without Kamala Harris on the ticket. Let his white woman supporters knock on doors in the ghetto. Okay, that's pretty strong. Again, this is somebody who basically is a founder of the K-Hive or a co-founder of the K-Hive. Another person said, this is what happens when they get a little too comfortable. He's listening to the very smart people, insisting he already has the blacks. Yikes. Another one. Sounds like Joe Biden has already forgotten who pushed the Joe bus out of the mud when it had 3 flat tires. Ask me if I'm surprised. I have no energy for it unless Kamala's on the bus. So these are people, of course, that are very enthusiastic about a Biden-Harris ticket. And I've seen this all over. Biden-Harris, right? That would be a terrible ticket. But nonetheless, these people are very enthusiastic about it. Another says, I'll still vote for Biden, but if Klobuchar is the VP, my energy and excitement will go to 0. Let's shall see what he decides. A super moderate ticket like that is already giving me the yawns. Funny how they talk about moderate ticket, right? Again, I'm somebody who supported Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders, because he was not a super moderate and because he had a history of fighting for the right things. Nonetheless, okay, Biden. All of this, by the way, shows that nobody who backs Biden really cared about Biden. They cared about who would be, of course, a more exciting VP, right? And I'll get to Klobuchar some of his picks later. But anyway, another person says, "You've got to be kidding me. I said before I'm throwing chairs if it's not a black woman, and I'm stuck inside, so I better not be throwing my own chairs. This is BS. It needs to be and should be Kamala. We should all be supporting the base." Love the guy talking about throwing chairs when literally, you guys remember back in 2016 where some of these same people were mad that allegedly Bernie Sanders supporters were throwing chairs at the Nevada caucus. Or that was the Nevada State Convention. Sorry. Bernie Sanders won Nevada now in 2020, by the way. I'm just saying. There were no chairs that were being thrown. But this guy's literally saying, I will throw a chair if it's not Kamala. Full meltdown. Total meltdown. I can't help but to feel reading these responses. And the whole thread is gold, by the way. I'm just like, you love to see it. You know it. Schadenfreude. Feels good. We told you, Joe Biden, not to be trusted. We all said, hey, maybe we should nominate somebody based on, I don't know, his record or her record. Somebody that, isn't just picked because of identity politics. Maybe. I mean, look, speaking on the record, when it comes to Joe Biden's record, especially on race, it's bad. Joe Biden is no friend to women of color. It's just not. He's just not. I mean, look how he treated Anita Hill. Look at how he palled around with segregationists. I mean, that guy, the guy who lied about getting arrested in South Africa. Oh, no, I went to go and see Nelson Mandela, but I got arrested at the airport. The staff's like, no, you didn't. I was there. That literally never happened. He has a long history. And by the way, you can't blame this on his mental decline, which has showed up recently. No. Joe has been a liar for a very, very long time. He has lied about being in places that he never actually was. He was never in any of those places, especially during the civil rights era. Again, he was on the side that was against forced busing. And by the way, Kamala's whole shtick, right, about being, I was that little girl, and going after Joe Biden in one of those debates. Now Kamala Harris, what, they want her to be his VP after that? I mean, I haven't forgotten about that. Maybe they have, but I certainly haven't forgotten. So, no, he's no friend for black women. And by the way, any person that he picks would end up being a token. And so that's probably why he's not going to go in that direction. But did anybody think that he would stick to choosing a woman of color? By the way, there are many progressive women of color who would actually make excellent picks. I'm just saying, for any VP, progressive women. I mean, somebody like Barbara Lee, Nina Turner. I mean, these women are fantastic, and they are progressive. And you don't even have to have a woman of color. Of course, you can have somebody like Tammy Baldwin, also progressive. But look, here's what's likely to happen with Joe Biden. Biden's going to go super safe. He's going to pick somebody like Klobuchar. I mean, really. Klobuchar, white Midwestern, boring milquetoast centrist. And here's why. Because somebody like that is not going to outshine him. The LA Times talked about this. They had an excellent take on it. And it says, he wants a running mate who is ready to step into the role of president on a moment's notice. He wants someone who is simpatico, someone he is comfortable with. Now, here's the thing. Joe Biden was not chosen because of his great relationship with the African American community. Joe Biden was chosen for the opposite by Barack Obama. Barack Obama was already very comfortable with the African American community. He's part of it. But he needed someone who was comfortable for the white community. That was Joe Biden. He made whites comfortable with a black president. To say that, oh no, Biden's going to get the black vote is ridiculous. He's not going to get that Obama coalition. And so that's why, again, rightly so, a lot of these people are saying, well, you should choose a black woman then, because you've got to give the community something, right? I would say give the community policy. But again, I don't think like these establishment people. So I come at it from a completely alien perspective. Like, oh, why don't you pick people who are good with policy? Policy is going to help everybody, including the African American community. But again, I don't deal with tokens, but and that kind of thinking because it's ridiculous. But again, going back to Politico, the LA Times, they said he is in short thinking about whom he'd like to run the country with rather than about the short-term political benefits of a running mate's race, ideology, or regional ties. Basically, I read that and I think he's going to go safe. He's going to go boring. He's going to go with a female Tim Kaine. So who is that? I think Gretchen Whitmer has a great choice. I wouldn't say I'm not saying great choice, right? I'm saying if you're looking for boring, if you're looking for milquetoast, but Midwestern milquetoast, then you're going to go with somebody like Gretchen Whitmer. And that's it. Gretchen Whitmer, by the way, she's my governor right now. And look, she's doing a passable job when it comes to COVID-19. And that's why she's facing a lot of protests, right? She's doing a fine job on that. But at the same time, she is owned by health insurance companies. And this is one of the reasons that I opposed her when she ran for governor of Michigan, why I supported Abdul El-Sayed. She is mainly funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, she would get along greatly in a Biden administration because she is, quote unquote, simpatico. And again, from the Midwest. And Whitmer is, of course, on the short list. And then, of course, Klobuchar as well. And here's the reason why it's now even more likely for it to be one of those two. He's struggling in the swing states, right? In the Midwest, against Donald Trump, in the Rust Belt. And so I think he believes that he should pick somebody who will help them in that area. Now, in doing so, of course, he's going to be appealing to white, moderate Rust Belt voters, which are not the black community. So he's going to turn off the black vote. And so that's going to be a huge problem. And look, understand that there's no energy for Biden. The only energy there is for him is that he's not Donald Trump and that he could possibly pick, in their words, a good running mate. I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he will pick somebody that's generally more exciting. Look, I think that you either have a Bernie Sanders, a Nina Turner, or a Barbara Lee, somebody who is progressive, somebody who's going to be effective at turning people out. And I know certainly Bernie Sanders will do that. Will that happen? Absolutely not. I don't think it's going to happen at all. He's going to go safe. He's going to go boring, and he's going to end up losing to Donald Trump. That is what I think will happen. I hope I am wrong. But, I mean, when it comes to the ability for centrists to lose elections, for Democrats to lose elections, I'm generally not wrong about that. And that sucks. Hey, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.